Hey, what's good, guys? It's DL Saint. So, today in Arizona at Marana, Arizona, there was a midair collision involving two small lightweight aircraft, a Cessna and a looks like a Lancer. Um, one aircraft was able to land safely. The other aircraft, unfortunately, was not. I believe there were at least two people lost in that crash. So I know what you guys are thinking. You guys are thinking, yo, what is going on? Like, yo, DL, all this information, all these incidents with these airplanes, what is going on? Well, remember when we were talking about the DCA midair, and I said early on, so you're going to hear a lot about general aviation. Right? You're going to hear a lot about general aviation. And this is what I'm talking about. So there are your air carriers out there that most people are familiar with. When you're thinking about flying, you're thinking about LAX, Atlanta, Miami, Chicago. You know, you're thinking of these big airports and these big airplanes. This is how most people travel. But general aviation, that's where the majority of the airplanes are. And it's all sorts of airplanes from small experimental type airplanes you've never seen before, little sports cars. Man, these things are so fast. Um, Lancer is one of them. RVs are another. There's so many just like just small airplanes. Then you got, your Cessnas and your Moonies and your Bonanzas, that kind of stuff. Then you got your twins, like your twin Cessnas, your Senecas, stuff like that. Your Commanders, Turbo Commanders. Then you up to your King Airs and stuff like that. I can name so many airplanes right now, so many different companies, so many different manufacturers, all the way up to the airplanes you're used to seeing, Boeing 737s and Airbuses and stuff like that. All those airplanes are in general aviation. So this latest midair at Marana, Arizona, never heard of this place, never heard of this airport. But from what I understand, it's an uncontrolled airport. What does that mean? There are no air traffic controllers there. There are no FAA air traffic controllers there. There are no military air traffic controllers there. There are no private air traffic controllers there. This is just an airport that pilots can use, and there's a procedure in which pilots can use, and they pretty much control themselves. They go out there, they fly around, they can do pattern work. Pattern work is like take off and land and do that kind of stuff. They can come in and transition, depending on what services the airport offer. I don't know what services they have. They may have fuel. They may have, services where you can come in and rest, maybe get a bite to eat, like restaurants. I don't know. But this mid-air collision took place at that type of airport. If the DCA mid-air did not occur, we would not be hearing about Marina, Arizona in this particular midair. Again, one aircraft was able to land safely and the other aircraft did not survive the collision. And the two airplanes did hit in the air. So people in Arizona and the surrounding area would have heard about it because that's news, but it wouldn't be getting the type of attention, the type of coverage that it's going to get right now. So just keep that in mind, guys. Anything that happens in aviation over the next 6 months or so is going to be scrutinized at the highest level by legacy media and everyone else, right? Doesn't take away the fact that these airplanes came together. They did. This is not a regular occurrence, although it does happen, right? Cars crash into each other way more than airplanes do in the sky, but it does happen. And one airplane was able to land safely. I've seen midairs and read about midairs that have occurred in controlled airspace where both aircraft were able to land safely. So just wanted to tell you guys that, just because I know a lot of people are hitting me up and are asking me questions, and there's a lot of concern out there, and I get it. It makes sense. This isn't the normal aviation discourse that people are used to in America, and I understand that. But you got to understand there are those of us who work in that field in aviation, who did a lot of work on the general aviation side. This is what we would see week in and week out. You would hear about situations that happen somewhere in the national airspace system, even at uncontrolled airports, and controllers would learn from it. We just learn from it, right? All of us. So as far as details are kind of sketchy. It's going to take some time to get the information. This was an uncontrolled airport, so I doubt very seriously that the transmissions were being recorded somewhere. I don't know. Don't hold my feet to the fire on that one. This isn't an airport that someone could probably pull up live ATC and listen to it. Maybe, I don't know. So it's probably going to be hard to get actual transmissions, but the NTSB, they're going to investigate this as well. They're going to talk to the aviators who landed safely. They're going to find out what happened, try to get a picture painted as to what was said, and why these two airplanes came together. That's what they want to figure out. How did this happen? The two airplanes involved, one is a high wing configuration. Think of the Cessna, like in the high wing is when the wing is on top. So if you're sitting in the airplane, your wing is on top. The other was a low wing configuration. A low wing configuration is probably when you think of an airplane, you're thinking of a low wing, like because that's commercial airliners. They're, you're not going to see many high wing jets, although they're out there. They are out there. But commercial jets, you're not going to see many high wing commercial jets. So the low wing is down low. The high wing is up high. When you have a high wing configuration, you can see good straight ahead and down. You can look down and see all sorts of stuff. The wings aren't in the way. But when you're starting to look up for stuff, the wings are kind of up there. So it's kind of hard to see around those wings sometimes if something's off to your 9 o'clock or your 3 o'clock or something like that, especially when you're looking at 4 o'clock, you're looking at 8 o'clock. It could be difficult if the stuff is up high. And then the opposite is true for the low wing. You see everything up in front, but when you're looking for something down, same thing. When something is down, it might be difficult to see. The Lancers are fast airplanes. They are fast. Think Ferrari, think Lamborghini. They are fast. Think the Scat Pack. These people be talking about these cars. And the Cessnas are just the normal, regular, regular speed. It's just they got some Cessnas out there that have retractable gear and it can move pretty fast, but this wasn't one of them. So we won't know exactly what happened until the NTSB conducts their investigation. The paperwork will come out, and when it does, we'll be here to talk about it and let you guys know what happened based on that information. Radar-wise, there probably is some radar information on this somewhere. That airspace is being monitored by somebody, but air traffic control was not in charge of this particular airport, which is an uncontrolled airport, and the airspace associated with it. So whatever happened, it didn't have anything to do with air traffic controllers. It had nothing to do with the FAA air traffic controllers. It had nothing to do with the military. It had nothing to do with private ATC. There are a lot of small airports out here that have private air traffic control companies that work on. There were no controllers involved. You're going to hear a lot of talk about traffic count at this place, like how busy is this airport? Should there be air traffic controllers there, either private air traffic control, or should there be FAA controllers? There's going to be talk about that. I don't know anything about this place. We're just going to have to wait until the information comes out. But I just want to give you guys a heads up as to what you're going to hear. Two airplanes came together. Were there more airplanes in the traffic area? How many more? There's a lot of traffic going back and forth. There's a lot of, landing and departures. There's a lot of guys doing practice work there. All that's going to come out in the next, days and weeks ahead. So don't worry, guys. When it comes to flying airplanes, don't worry. It's still the safest form of travel. I don't want you guys thinking that all of a sudden, all of these things are beginning to happen. It just came from out of nowhere. No, that's not the case. General aviation has all sorts of bumps and hiccups. These are the smaller, less experienced a lot of times. This is where people learn how to fly. This is where people get their practice, as opposed to the air carrier airports and the commercial aviation, which everyone's familiar with. This sort of thing happens far less in the air carrier world. So don't think that this is just out of nowhere. No, These things happen. These things have always happened. As a stand-up comedian, I'll tell this story and I'll let you guys go. As a stand-up comedian, I would go to the Comedy Store in LA and I would go perform. I was there, 4 or 5 times a week. If I'm not performing, I'm hanging out. And one of my comedian friends would see me. He was one of the few guys that knew I was an air traffic controller in real life. And every time he saw me, he would ask, "Hey, did the airplane crash today? Did the airplane crash today? Did the airplane crash today?" Every time he saw me, he would ask me, "Did the airplane crash today?" And this went on for, I don't know, a few months. And then one day he finally asked me, like, "Hey, did the airplane crash today?" And I said, "Yes." Like, we had an incident, a guy came in, like a gear up or something like that, or jumped off the runway, something. It was just like one of the normal routine things. You know, no one got seriously hurt. Airplane was damaged, that sort of thing. And it shook him. It shook him. For weeks, he was afraid to even talk to him. It was funny. He would see me kind of go the other way. It was weird. And he never asked me again if an airplane crashed today. In that world, it happens. It happens. And I'm going to say the vast majority, but most of the time, a lot of the times, people walk away from the accident. All right. So that's it. That's all we got for now. If I get some information, guys, I'll definitely share it with you and let you know as soon as I get it. I don't have too many people in Arizona. And again, there were no air traffic controllers involved. So it's going to be hard for me to get any information on this one. Just going to have to sit back and wait for the NTSB report. All right. So that's it. That's all I got for tonight. I'll talk to you guys soon. I'm DL Saint. Peace.